Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so right now, the Kenya Prison Service is undergoing a transformation that honestly sounds a bit like something straight out of a near-future sci-fi novel. But it's happening today. We are unpacking a massive, incredibly high-stakes initiative designed to integrate artificial intelligence into the very heart of the country's correctional facilities. We're talking about a massive system managing tens of thousands of lives, and it's shifting from centuries-old manual oversight to a highly responsive, digitally empowered ecosystem. It's a huge deal.
But, before we get totally lost in all the cool tech, we have to pause and ask a fundamental question. Can algorithms actually administer justice? Because this explainer, it isn't just about rolling out miles of new cables, writing code, or installing fancy cameras. It's fundamentally about human liberty, human rights, and dignity. We're examining a space where the absolute power of the state over an individual collides with the incredible predictive power of modern data systems.
So here's our mental roadmap for today. We'll look at AI in the justice system, security and smart surveillance, data-driven rehabilitation, ethics, bias and human rights, preparing the digital workforce, and finally, what a human-centered future looks like.
Let's dive right into Section 1, AI in the Justice System, and modernizing Kenya's prisons. For decades, correctional work has relied heavily on manual ledgers, reactive surveillance, and really isolated operations. But today, that infrastructure is undergoing a massive, top-to-bottom digital transition. Now, just to make sure we're all on the exact same page, artificial intelligence is essentially the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines, so things like learning, reasoning, and self-correction. But applying it in this context isn't just about basic automation, like a smart thermostat. We're looking at an incredibly complex data landscape here. Just think about the sheer volume of information generated every single day across dozens of facilities. You've got inmate movements, behavioral logs, health records, visitor logs, staff rotations. It's a mountain of data. And machine learning algorithms are uniquely positioned to process all this unstructured information, spot critical patterns, and generate actionable insights at a speed that human analysts simply cannot match.
And this transition isn't just happening in a vacuum. It's actually deeply integrated into Vision 2030 and Kenya's digital economy blueprint. So why does this matter to you and me? Well, modernizing prisons through these government blueprints ultimately affects broader public safety. It drastically reduces recidivism and, let's be real, it optimizes how taxpayer resources are allocated. By actively investing in these data systems, the government is proving that correctional institutions can literally be at the absolute forefront of public sector innovation. Moving on to Section 2. Security and smart surveillance, moving beyond the manual watch.
Think about how things used to be done. Manual surveillance is entirely reactive. It relies heavily on constant human observation, which means it's naturally prone to fatigue. Especially in sprawling, high-density areas. Intelligent surveillance, though, it fundamentally changes that entire dynamic. By using computer vision and machine learning, these systems can detect behavioral anomalies in real time. We're talking about recognizing sudden group formations or aggressive motions instantly. It turns a vulnerable, reactive system into one that uses predictive analytics to step in before incidents ever escalate. It's a real game changer.
In high-risk, densely populated facilities, places like Committee Maximum Prison and Naivasha Prison, these tools are absolutely crucial. Intelligent CCTV can flag unusual movement patterns autonomously. Meanwhile, predictive models actually analyze historical data to forecast conflict risks based on variables like sudden shifts in staffing ratios. Imagine an AI-enabled X-ray scanner at a really busy checkpoint. Instead of relying solely on a tired guard's eyes at the very end of a 12-hour shift, the algorithm analyzes microscopic differences in texture and density to spot a smuggled phone or maybe a makeshift weapon hidden deep inside a supply shipment. It's an immediate, massive leap in handling overcrowding challenges and ensuring total safety.
All right, Section 3, data-driven rehabilitation and personalizing reintegration. Let's look at how AI isn't just about locking things down.
The rehabilitation journey starts by gathering crucial data from daily behavioral and educational logs. Then, AI algorithms step in to analyze this info, searching for really subtle behavioral trends and readiness markers that a human might easily miss. But, and this is the absolutely critical part, the final say always requires human empathy. The AI is strictly an assistive tool. It surfaces these insights so that rehabilitation officers can effectively review the data and then craft a highly personalized, targeted reintegration program for that specific individual. The human is still completely in the driver's seat.
This represents a massive paradigm shift.
Through AI-powered adaptive learning platforms, education and vocational training are now dynamically tailored to an individual inmate's exact pace and skill level. This data gives unprecedented insights to the Kenya Prison Enterprises and the Probation and Aftercare Service. It lets them accurately track someone's true readiness for society. We are finally moving away from that static, one-size-fits-all approach to a system of truly dynamic, responsive, and individualized care.
Which brings us to a very serious pivot in Section 4, Ethics, Bias, and Human Rights. The tool versus the wielder. I want you to really think about this for a second. When an algorithm decides an inmate's risk level, who is ultimately responsible? It's a profound question. We have to be incredibly careful about something called algorithmic opacity. That's a situation where a computer makes a decision that heavily impacts someone's freedom, but nobody can actually explain exactly why it made that choice. If the historical data fed into the system contains biases, the AI is naturally going to reflect and amplify those biases, potentially profiling specific demographics unfairly.
So, to combat this, the Kenya Prison Service relies on extremely strict legal and ethical frameworks, and the stakes here couldn't be higher. Without fairness and non-discrimination, the system could systematically marginalize vulnerable groups. Without strict accountability and transparency, a faulty algorithm could deny someone parole, and they'd have absolutely no way to challenge it. No way. These principles, alongside robust privacy and data protection, aren't just nice theoretical ideas. They are legally mandated by the Kenya Data Protection Act of 2019, and they're deeply rooted in the constitutional right to human dignity.
The entire initiative is grounded in a single, incredibly powerful philosophy. Technology should serve humanity, not replace it. That principle right there is the absolute bedrock of this transition, and it aligns perfectly with the UN Nelson Mandela rules for the humane treatment of prisoners. Because while algorithms are great at crunching the data, they should never dehumanize the deeply personal, very human process of rehabilitation.
Let's look at the strategy in Section 5, Preparing the Digital Workforce, Training for Tomorrow. Because let's face it, you simply cannot build smart prisons without highly trained officers who actually know how to manage these advanced systems. Adopting a tiered training framework is pretty revolutionary for a correctional system. By empowering base-level guards with foundational digital literacy and ethics, the institution actively prevents tech misuse right at the ground level. Meanwhile, training middle management in applied data analysis and focusing senior administrators on high-level governance and AI strategy, well, that ensures systemic integrity from the top down. And what's really interesting is that this comprehensive capacity building is driven by a strategic partnership with Finstock Evarsity College, making sure that academic rigor directly meets daily operational needs.
And finally, Section 6, A Human-Centered Future, Integrating Tech with Dignity. We see ambitious tech implementations in the public sector fail all the time, usually because they are completely rushed. The Kenya Prison Service is avoiding that trap entirely through a really disciplined, phased roadmap. Years 1 and 2 are dedicated solely to piloting and learning in select facilities. Then, years 3 and 4 focus on expanding those successful tools into broader case management, while year 5 and beyond target full institutionalization and continuous innovation. This matters because it's the exact mechanism that prevents operational chaos and allows the institution to actually mature digitally over time without breaking things.
Throughout this incredible journey, the very profile of the correctional officer is being fundamentally transformed. The officer of the 21st century is no longer just a guard. They are a digital operator, a data steward, and an ethical guardian. They really are the ultimate gatekeepers of fairness. They're the ones entrusted to marry the incredible technological efficiency of artificial intelligence with the irreplaceable human empathy that is required for genuine rehabilitation.
So I want to leave you with this final, profound question to ponder. Will we allow algorithms to dictate justice, or will we harness them to elevate human dignity? The tools themselves are totally neutral, but how we implement them is deeply, deeply moral. The Kenya Prison Service is stepping boldly into the digital age, proving that innovation and absolute integrity can and absolutely must coexist. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep exploring how AI is completely reshaping the foundations of our public institutions.